As a young girl of 5 years old, grown up in London, pursuing ballet, classical Western ballet, within a very conservative family, I put on my ballet shoes and wanted to be a ballerina. But there was something inside my soul that told me that I was from a country called Pakistan, a country unknown to me, unknown from its experience. And that's where the journey started. I met a lady called Nahid Siddiqui, who is today's #1 Kathak performer of Pakistan.
I've had a very sober kind of, quite sensitive childhood. And I think that has given me a lot, which made me very serious at a very early age. There were some incidents within the family which made me very quiet, and I feel that has helped me to come out in my dance, because if you haven't really lived your childhood as you should naturally, then there's something which is missing in your life, and that really is trying to come out, and then you really look for your real expression through which you can really bring all your innocence, your honesty, your words which you couldn't say at that time, and your real expression. ये बहुत ज़रूरत हो जाती है. That's why they say that हमेशा जो दुख है या some kind of sadness या to see real life brings the real artist out. The word Kathak means a storyteller, and our tradition of storytelling in our culture is very, very old. It goes back to thousands of years, when arts like a formal sort of classical organized form of dance like Kathak, people used to use that to portray stories and portray the stories with their gestures, with their hands, with their voice. लेकिन I somehow felt that it suited my nature. मुख्तलिफ इलाकों के मुख्तलिफ gestures होते हैं, the way they live, the way they move, and I felt a person who comes from Punjab, a person who comes from Lahore, the way I move in my gestures, that is me, that suits my body, that suits my nature. So आज भी मैं यही कहूँगी कि I am very glad that I chose Kathak as an expression, as my expression. Dance has got its own language and grammar, which one has to learn. But then you practice it so much that becomes your second nature. And बहुत बड़े लोगों ने कहा है, the real art is in hiding your technique. मतलब hiding the technique is कि technique नजर ना आ रही, लेकिन वो आपने उस पे काम इतना किया हो कि वो that starts to look natural in whoever is dancing, या carrying that expression. इसलिए लोग अगर काम नहीं करेंगे इस पे तो टेक्निक ही नजर आएगी, और अगर काम कर लेंगे तो एक्सप्रेशन भी नजर आने लग जाएगा. if I only single-mindedly pursue one thing which I love, when you love something to a degree where nothing, you are like a wave, एक समंदर की जो एक वेव होती है उसे कोई नहीं रोक सकता, उसने बढ़ना ही होता आगे, अपनी डायरेक्शन लेनी होती है उसमें. Artist is like water. I very often, when I open the tap or look at a stream, I feel that the description of an artist is exactly like water. Clarity and adaptability to take any mold, and kitab, khuli kitab ki tarah, सच्चाई, honesty, that is what you learn through arts. That's my life. I feel that I should be just doing this because this is my way of life till my last breath.
And my association with her was that she was from Lahore, the city where I was born in. And that was the only thing I knew, that here is a person who's from Lahore who teaches Indian classical dance, because in the West it's looked upon as Indian classical dance. Unfortunate in the sense that the identification is that we're from Pakistan instead of South Asian, Southeast Asian.
In the West, Kathak is considered as an Indian classical dance, though for a large part of its history it was patronized and matured in the Muslim courts of the Mughals. Yet some classical dances in Pakistan, such as Indi Mitha or Shima Kirmani, have been relentlessly accused of performing dances which are Indian because they echo in style or name the culture of India, which in Hindi is called Bharat. Similarly, Bharat Natyam and Odissi are two classical dance forms of the subcontinent which have undeniably taken shape around Hindu mythology and temples. Yet equally undeniable is the presence of a shared heritage which exists regardless of the political divides present today. Thus, these dances have strived against the hasty categorizations drawn from national hatred in breaking the barriers of religion and ethnicity.
One style of dance I pursued for those years that I was away was Bharat Natyam. It carries a sort of stain with it because people in Pakistan say, why do you want to do a dance that carries the name of the country, Bharat, with it? And they insist on saying that this is a temple dance. Well, to begin with, Bharat was not the name of a country at the time or a political entity at the time this name was given. This book which it refers to and from which all forms of classical dance in the whole subcontinent draw their basic sustenance was written in the 2nd century AD by a sage by the name of Bharat. That is why it carries this name. It's got nothing to do with the country. That book lays down all the basics, the tals, the movements, the poses, the themes, the sort of dress you should have, the sort of story you should take and how you should proceed to tell it, the kind of music you use. But those particular postures and movements now belong only to this one system, still called by the name of the sage, Bharat Natyam. All the other things, apart from the postures, the gestures, the symbols for which they stand, they are common to all the forms of dance. whether it's a northern dance or an eastern dance or a western dance or a southern dance or the various southern dances of the subcontinent, basically they are the same. But each has adopted its own sort of regional language.
I've been attacked many times as doing styles which are Hindu and Indian, as opposed to Muslim and Pakistani. But then my question is, what is Muslim and Pakistani? And can dance be, or any art be categorized religiously? I mean, it can be categorized geographically maybe, or, regionally, but not religiously, because my argument is it's the same as works for the bomb, whether there's a Hindu bomb or a Muslim bomb, And the bomb doesn't choose who it's going to kill. Whether it's made by a Hindu or Muslim, it will kill wherever it falls. And I feel the dance is the same. It's not religion that divides it. And even if a certain religion had used it at a certain time in history, or patronized it at a certain time in history, it's the form that you use. And you bring your own sensibilities, your own experiences to that form. And besides, the so-called Muslim dance, the Kathak, is not Muslim dance. It was pre-Muslim. I mean, it predates Islam any time, It's just that the Mughals, in fact, I feel they actually vulgarized the form to an extent, because it had a great aspect of storytelling in it previously, because that is what it was. It was defining your history to your next generation. It was actually telling them legends and myths and stories through a dance form. So it was, and then the Mughals brought it into the courts and made it only an entertainment form, and that's where it developed into a kind of a craft, a skill, rather than the profoundness of the art. And I feel that's where it lost a bit, in fact.
It's a Nawab's art. At the time of when this art came around and when it came to its peak, when we go back to the roots, it was a storytelling form. So people used to get together, women were not allowed to dance, they only danced in the temples. And there's this whole concept of them being married off to the temples. Then men used to get together, and it was an education, because all this, people were not educated. So they used mythological stories to educate people about social order. Dance was used like that. Dance was the medium. Like theatre was very much a part of it. It was not a technical form. It evolved, and it in the time of Wajid Ali Shah, the time of Hazrat Amir Khusro, which is 16th century, 15th. Then Maulana Room, which from Turkey, the whirling dervish in the 12th, 13th century. So how it evolved and how dance expression also evolved as humans, as society evolves and people evolve. So from there it got its technique when the Muslims came in, because they could not relate to the religious connotation. It took its own shape, and because they conquered to Spain, we have flamenco influences, we have Spanish influences, we have so much of an amalgamation of so many different experiences that came into it, because they used to take them as entertainers. But it evolved into a very refined art form. If you look at Kathak, if you just walk, it's stylized way of walking. If you show a bird, it's stylized way. It's just like going to the refined aspect of projection. So everything, it was about the lover and the beloved. It became about emotion, about feelings.
1977 और उसके बाद तकरीबन 1-2 साल तो मैंने नहीं किया। अब तक फिर 1980 में दोबारा मैंने महाराज गुलाम हुसैन उनसे सीखना शुरू किया। नहीं, मेरे वालिद का तो कोई भी लिंक इससे नहीं था। बस महाराज आते थे, हमारे नेबर्स में आते थे डांस सिखाने के लिए, तो बच्चों की तरह भाग के जाके डांस सीख लिया। कभी ये नहीं सोचा कि प्रोफेशनली जो है मैं इसको करूंगा, बस शौक से सीखा और फिर उनके साथ आहिस्ता आहिस्ता जो है परफॉर्मेंसेस की और ट्रैवल किया और ये सब कुछ, तो बस वहां से सिलसिला शुरू हुआ। लोगों की रिएक्शन शुरू में तो जब मैंने शुरू किया तब तो बहुत, मैं समझता हूँ कि बहुत ज़्यादा मुझे तकलीफ पहुँचती थी, बहुत ज़्यादा। महाराज के साथ में परफॉर्मेंसेस करने जाता था, साथ लड़कियाँ भी होती थी, परफॉर्मेंसेस हमारी होती थी और बहुत ही बुरे नज़र से मैं समझता हूँ लोग देखते थे और उनको पसंद नहीं आता, अच्छा नहीं लगता था कि ये जो है मतलब क्या लड़का क्यों डांस करे, ज़रूरत नहीं है लड़के को डांस करने की, मर्द तो नाचने के लिए बना ही नहीं। तो खैर लेकिन अब जाके थोड़ा सा फर्क मैं समझता हूँ है, लेकिन अभी भी है।
I stood beside the sea and asked the wave, "You are always restless. What is it that troubles you? 1,000 beautiful pearls adorn your bed, but do you have a heart like mine in your breast?"
I had gone through a very varied education, and I'd gone through various types of professions. I'd studied fine arts, and at one point in my life I felt that dance was a dying form in our society, and B, somehow there was something about me that wanted me to express myself in this form. Then when I went to India, I decided to learn. I saw various styles and I chose what I thought was something that appealed to me as a person, as an individual. And I think it's learning a style also is something that what you feel you're comfortable with in your body and your, and your being and your personality. So I learned Odissi, which is a style which I feel actually originated in Mohenjo-daro. So I feel it's very much ours, if we relate our links to Mohenjo-daro times. Because the postures of the dance, the stances that we take are close to the statues that you find and the relief work and the sculptural work that you find from Mohenjo-daro. I use a lot of feminist poetry. I use a lot of contemporary Urdu poetry. Sometimes I even work with English poetry because I feel that my audience, I want them to understand what I'm doing. But my experiences are experiences of a woman living in this society. So I use that form to express my experiences, my life, my ideas, my perceptions. And so it becomes mine. And that is how I feel that our culture can evolve if we allow ourselves to have that kind of openness. Very deeply involved in Marxist ideology, in the left movement, and the socialist thought. And I feel that has made me understand and look at the world from a certain point of view. And when I dance, I do feel that. I mean, I don't feel that it is elitist or that it's exclusive. I feel that it's an expression that I'm conveying to anybody who's there to watch me. Performing is a high, and that's why you can never give it up. I mean, the more you do it, the more you want to do it. And it also takes you into another world. I mean, the kind of focus and the centering, concentration that is required, it moves you away from the mundane.
दश्त तन्हाई दूरी के खसो खाक को दश्त तन्हाई दूरी के खसो खाक.
Growing up in the society as a girl, and the ideas that are given to girls about their bodies, I mean, it was a great concern for me somehow, because I grew up with the same ideas that, you hide your bodies, you're not proud of your body. And I really feel that when women are growing up in that way, there is such a lack of coordination, and this body-mind centering does not take place. You're not integrated basically as a human being, and that's why I feel that dance is so important for women, that it creates an integrated being, and as you said, there is a well-being about it also.
I came back to Lahore, which is my birthplace and my hometown, just within 4 years of leaving it. I left in 47 and I was back in early 52 in Lahore. So when I came back, not only Lahore, but when we moved to Rawalpindi, we found that young people here also were keen to learn. But for most of my years here, most of the work that I have been able to do has remained with girls who have, in spite of years of learning, remained amateurs. Because the big thing is that you cannot have a respectable position. You need to have some other job to give you your bread and butter, all right. So now you need to be well qualified for that job. There are girls who've been abroad, they've really learned dance there. They've come back with big degrees, they want to continue dancing, but they dare not dance professionally because it is frowned upon. So all these years, what have I been doing? I've been teaching friends and their daughters, girls from college and school, but performing where? Inside a school, inside a college, for within four walls, as it were, for parents including fathers also, which only a year or two ago, the fact the fathers were also invited to a parents' show sent one of my grown-up students into tears. Here in Islamabad 2 years ago, she said, "Fathers? You want to invite fathers?" And I find this shocking, that fathers should look at their own daughters or their friends' daughters with the feeling that this girl should not be dancing. Why? They're all educated girls. Some of them have been abroad. They come back, they're working. They're working in offices where there are men. They're taking taxis, pushing their way around in buses. But dance is wicked. Those who can go through all the troubles that it means, just walking down a bazaar, you can get nasty leers even at my age. Those girls can't handle an audience who is far away from them on the stage. They can't perform for them something that is trying to convey something of meaning, of beauty. Dance is not about tal. Dance is not about conformity to music. Dance is about ideas and feelings which are universal, even if they are expressed in times of long ago, whether you want to call them the pastoral days or whether you want to call them Hindu myths. They are the myths of human beings who tried to answer all the various questions which find no answer anyway. They try to find a solution to the problems of life besetting men and women. And I think perhaps one of the sad trends these days is because women's problems have become so much the thing of the moment. We are getting into a rather either a belligerent feministic mood or a rather weepy mood. I am not one who wants that kind of theme only.
For me, dance is important both in classical and contemporary style. In the classical, we have brought more universal themes away from the old tradition and Hindu mythology, and brought themes which are dear to our heart and the heart of our audiences, so we hope, and themes that anybody in the world can understand. And in the modern, we have brought forth ideas as diverse as possible, whatever one is interested in. For example, we have done dances about the chaos here, and we have done dances about short stories, Urdu short stories, like Ismat Chughta's Lihaz. And we hope people realize that dance is very much alive in Pakistan. It is alive and continuing both in the classical and modern traditions, continuing with life. We are live.
So my transition from Kathak, from classical Western ballet to Kathak, was that Kathak is all about the earth. The classical Western ballet was all about being suspended. So there were two different disciplines. So that, it was like, I was coming home, I was grounding myself, coming back to the beginning. That's how I mean, a lot of people may not relate that, but that's how I related it to myself. And that brought me back to Pakistan in '83. I was born in '62. So in '83 I traversed back to Pakistan and met my teacher's teacher, which is like a grandfather teacher. And he was in Lahore, again the city I was born in. And the whole connection of dance to my being, of identification. There was always this search within me whenever I danced, whenever I was the most happiest when I danced. I fought against my whole family because it was for me a passion. I was always in ecstasy, I was always happy, and I felt comfortable. And if I didn't dance, I felt that I had no place in the world. It's very interesting because for me, which might sound very strange to a lot of people, but I found God through my dancing. I connected to Him, whatever He is, higher power, supreme energy, connecting to the headquarters where all energy comes from. I think right from the beginning when I was evolving as a young girl, knowing that I had so much inside and this is what it was doing to me, and it kept bringing me closer to something. And I have a faith in Allah or God or whatever, and lots of people say, oh God, how could a classical dancer even think or be even religious or spiritual, whatever you want to call it. For me, religion, spirituality, I would say I'm a spiritual person. And dance, for me, is spiritual. It's my religion. It has been the truth that I followed, and that took me to a supreme energy. And today, when I dance on stage, I feel like there's no physical left of me. I get so overwhelmed with the presence of something else. I can't even see my audience at the time. Sometimes I feel I'm out of my body and I'm looking at myself. These are strange mystical experiences maybe. Difficult for a normal person to comprehend because we do not look at dance like that. We look at it as something low, lowest of the low in our country. And yet for me it's the highest of the high. Believe me, I don't even think I'm a technically amazing dancer. I don't think that. I just think I'm an expressionist. I'm expressing an energy that has grown within me and gone to a certain level. Sometimes I just cry on stage. I can't. Maybe I'm a whirling dervish now. I don't know. In a modern society, it's like I would consider, when I read about the whirling dervishes, I get tears in my eyes because I relate to it so much. So maybe that's where I'm going. Nothing matters anymore. There's peace now. Dance was always looked upon as prayer. In the Muslim aspect of it, I think Maulana Room, who was a great scholar, went from the physical aspect of being to the spiritual. And dancing and whirling was the connection. Because when you whirl, you get into a smaller space. It's like meditation. And you come to one focused point. And that's where your connection opens up. The body has chakras, and it opens up and it connects. So that's why he went out of the physical world and went into a spiritual world.
Assalamu alaikum. Quran al-Kareem says, of course, Allah, the God Almighty says in His Quran al-Kareem, يُسَبِّحُ لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. In the universe and on the earth, what you see, everything says Allah, Allah. They are turning atoms inside, electrons, neutrons, protons. What you see, everything is turning. Today, the science has accepted that the regularity of universe is in this whirling.
I mean, the whole thing is that the Eastern thought is cyclical. We believe in the cycle. It's unending. We come back full circle and then it starts again. Na shuru, na ant. You know, it's just a continuous thing. It's not linear as it is in the West. So I think that's the basic concept which goes across the board. I mean, I can say from Tamil Nadu to as far as you can go to Turkey. It's another way of ushering you into another world. When you start spinning, you go into another world. I mean, it's almost like I think dance is designed to create patterns in space which will somehow open a point in thin air which will usher you out into something else. It's literally like puncturing khali space to take you somewhere else. That's the meaning of dance for me.
Dance is very much a living tradition in Pakistan, and the best example of that is that most of the dancing takes place at the shrines, and the shrines are obviously the burial places of the Sufis. And in the Sufi tradition there is this very strong element which emphasizes on ecstasy, which emphasizes on hal, the ways and means of getting connected to the collective. It is the effort or the path to achieve unity with oneness. Oneness of God, oneness of the universe, oneness of existence. So this is a very important Sufic exercise, that you have to be one with the collective and one with God. So the shrines automatically become places where you exercise this expression and you become one with God. And the expression that is used, the indigenous expression besides hal, is that of jazb. And jazb itself literally means to get absorbed into something. And the person who is in the process of getting absorbed is known as a majzoob. So most of our Sufis, they were so intoxicated, God intoxicated by oneness, that they were known as majzoobs. And the whole ritual of dance and the whole technique of dance that we have here, the way they whirl, the speed at which they whirl, is to achieve that state of altered consciousness where they become one with the collective, they lose themselves and they become one with the collective, and they totally negate themselves. This process of negation also is very central to the Sufic tradition and to Sufic thought, and this also is one way of rising above your individual needs rising above your individual interests, is rising above your immediate desires and these other things which concern you and bind you to life. So it is a kind of a release that it takes you away from all these concerns, these small petty concerns, worldly concerns that man is so bogged down by. So this is the very basis, and from this very basis we have other forms of dance in society, like we have in the folk tradition, we have dances which are secular in nature, because they are an expression of joy, they are an expression of happiness, and mostly it happens on the occasions of harvest, when you have a good harvest and people get together and they participate in this ritual and in this festival of abundance, and it is a kind of a gratitude also of paying homage to the gods that their land has been fertile and that they have enough harvests, and that it ensures and guarantees the continuation of the human race and the bounty of nature. So that is an expression in the folk tradition, and it is widespread. It is not only limited to one area or limited to a particular kind of forms of dance, but folk forms are in fact less bound by technique and less bound by form, and they are more sort of controlled by a kind of an abandoned expression of happiness, of fulfillment. And there too, you see, at one level it is the same exercise where you are one with the collective, that your happiness is not the happiness of the individual, because dance itself is not an expression of the individual, it is a collective effort. And there too, you see, the happiness and the merriment is what you share with your community, and it is a harvest which the village is exercising the happiness and expressing its merriment at the. So it is this sense of the collective, this happiness of the collective which comes out to the fore, and it is the same kind of thing which you have in the Sufi tradition, where you rise above yourself and you take part from a pedestal, from a higher level, at the higher concerns of human life, and you are not totally bogged down by your own petty concerns.
In those times when I came to Pakistan, it was Zia's period, Zia-ul-Haq's period. It was a very difficult period. Dance was banned. You could not perform on stage without an NOC, which is a no objection certificate. If you ever read an objection certificate, it had the dance is an obscenity. So, you know, the contradictions, and yet we still performed. I think I felt like I did the most radical work at the time, at that period. There was a reason to keep it alive. There was a reason to go on. Much more than so with everything against us. No auditoriums, no support, no financial support. Friends were helping, like Rafi Theatre, I used to rehearse there. I had no place to rehearse.
Dance in Pakistan, unfortunately, has been a victim of deliberate political neglect for a variety of reasons. Political governments have chosen, even ostensibly liberal governments, have chosen not to support and encourage the rich tradition of dance that we have, from folk dance to Sufism and the dance associated with the Sufi tradition, to the classical dance tradition, especially the Kathak dance tradition, which is directly linked to the Mughal courts of India.
In the 80s, for instance, it wasn't very fashionable to allow dance on television. It wasn't possible for performers to get the kind of recognition they deserved. And that tradition has continued successfully from that time onwards.
But anyway, when we talk of democratic measures or fundamentalist, the position of behavior or policy has almost been the same. During Benazir's time or Nawaz Sharif's time, dance was allowed if you take the privilege and you are brave enough to start it. Otherwise, it was banned on television, still banned on television. During Ziaul's time, you could see only the horses dancing. After that, during Benazir's time, men were dancing. During Nawaz Sharif's time, men in the name of folk dances were dancing, but not any women dancers. But what happened that at the same time, the old Mujra system, the old red light area culture spread throughout the country and in all the better areas, polished areas of the country, where in the houses and in the big bungalows, Mujras were being held and moneyed people were spending millions and billions. This is all said because this was in the four wall of the city and four wall of the house.
The concept of mujra in our country, which is a degenerated form of dance, where it has been distorted, taken from films, taken from here, and it's totally sexually entertaining. I'll be as blunt as that. And that has been confused and been re-endorsed by the film industry, which projects it in a slightly refined way, as when it's people are dancing in houses, the girls who do these mujras. Now, when that gets endorsed in your society, the identification of dance in itself loses its roots. If your people at the higher levels are promoting this, and what is promotion? By allowing it in your house, allowing it in your state. You know, instead of, now all these, my question is that all the people who do this form of dance must be talented. They're not channelizing the talent, there's no one to train them, there are no institutions. So it gets degenerated. So then it becomes an entertainment, and because a lot of money comes from it, a girl can earn 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs to 3 lakhs in one night by dancing for 7-8 hours in the most decrepit, deformed, wearing our kind of costumes, wearing our kind of bells, and being projected as dancers. And someone will turn around to me and say, oh, such person is such a good dancer. You know, so the concept of dance has just got lost. So it's crumbled, the image. 4 or 5 of us are trying to keep it alive by going more and more refined, and the more refined we become, the more separated we become.
The Khusras now form the largest community of dancers in Pakistan. Their tradition of dance is one which traces itself back to the time of the Mughal Empire and now thrives in the red light districts. There are an estimated 100,000 Khusras just in Lahore. These Khusras run their own dance companies and brothels or kotas. Other than their own functions, They perform at marriages and specially arranged parties for their own rich community. Their dances reflect a bad version of Bollywood films. They have their own half-baked style of dancing, and this is taught to them by their gurus. The gurus are mentors and masters both merged into one, and their control of their disciples far exceeds just their dance training. This crude entertainment panders itself to the tastes of their customers, coming largely from the lower middle classes. This tradition of gurus has now been in place for several decades. The large presence of khusras is widely ignored by mainstream society, and this has forced them to create their own hidden underworld where no outsider is invited. They have no sensibility of any proper dance training, and this shapes their dance into an ugly and grotesque reflection of Pakistani movie songs.
I think why there's been this specific attack on dance in Islamic societies, it's the way men perceive women.
Because of the general conservative atmosphere of the country, here the impression is that all forms of dancing all forms of dancing are vulgar or obscene, which of course is not correct.
Then there's this whole attitude being created that performers, dancers, there's something immoral about them, you know. So if you're a dancer, you're an immoral person, so you do not have the respect of another artist. Maybe even singers don't have that same, people don't look at them in the same way as they look at a dancer. I mean, like, as I was saying, I've heard with my own ears at various social gatherings, oh, don't sit next to her, she's a dancer, as if a dancer will pollute, you know.
औज़ुबिल्लाहिमिनश्शैतानिर्रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। बुनियादी तौर पर इस्लाम ने न क्लासिकल मौसीकी को न क्लासिकल डांस को ममनू करार दिया, न उस वक्त ये सारी चीज़ें थीं। इस्लाम असल में ये देखता है कि आप ये किस काम के लिए कर रहे हैं। एक औरत है जो अपने शौहर को खुश करने के लिए अपने बेडरूम में अपने डांस कर रही है, अपने शौहर को खुश कर रही है, वो उनकी बढ़ाना डांस कर रही है, उस पर किसी को इतराज का कोई हक नहीं। लेकिन एक औरत है जो एक चौक में खड़े होकर डांस कर रही है और लोगों को अपनी तरफ मुतवज्जे कर रही है, हर शख्स को उस पर, हर महज़ब माशरे को, हर जी होश आदमी को उस पर एतराज़ का। तो सवाल देखना यह है कि किस मकसद के लिए कोई काम हो रहा है। घर में बच्चियां हैं तो नाचती भी हैं, गाती भी, शादियों में, हम शादियों ब्याह में हमारे यहाँ भी सब बच्चियां नाचती हैं, गाती हैं अपने घर महरमों के सामने, उसमें कोई हर्ज नहीं। लेकिन एक दफ़ा आप ये रास्ता अगर खोल देते हैं कि साहब एक खातून है जो क्लासिकल मौसीकी या क्लासिकल डांस की शौकीन है और वो एक 500-600 के मजमे के सामने वो गा रही हैं, उसके बाद इसके बाद दूसरा रास्ता ये खुलेगा कि एक खातून है जो कहती हैं कि नहीं जनाब एक जगह मुजरा हो रहा है, मैं उनके सामने गा रही हूँ, वो भी 500-600 लोग होंगे, आपको क्या एतराज़ है। तो ये रास्ता खोलना बजाते खुद बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाएगा और इससे बड़ी तबादलें पैदा हो जाती। असल में बुनियादी तौर पर इस्लाम का ये सारा कल्चर नहीं है, ये सारा हिंदुस्तान का कल्चर है असल में। देखिए ना, एक मर्द के नाचने में, एक औरत के नाचने में, औरत अगर नाच रही हो, क्लासिकल मौसीकी रक्सी कर रही हो, लेकिन उसे औरतें देख रही हैं, उसकी बात और है, वो उसमें बहरहाल किसी को एतराज़ नहीं होना चाहिए अगर ख़वातीन देख रही हैं, लेकिन उनको उस डांस को अगर मर्द देख रहे हैं तो वो फिर। लेकिन हमारा माशरा असल में बात यह है कि दो अमली का शिकार है सारा हमारा माशरा, और उसमें हमारे यहाँ के जो मौलवी हैं उनका बड़ा कसूर है। यानी स्पेसिफिकली डांस पर तो कोई पाबंदी नहीं है बुनियादी तौर पर। सबसे बुरी चीज जो है इस्लाम में मुनाफिकत है, और उसूल वही है कि जो अपने लिए पसंद करो वो दूसरे के लिए पसंद।
There are no religious laws as such about the art forms. I would say that so far as haram is concerned in the Quran, there are specific matters which are considered haram. The others are not. And as far as forms of dancing is concerned, I have not come across anywhere the expression haram being used for this particular form of art. They are all different forms of fine arts and they are not banned as such. They are not forbidden as such. They are not considered as haram. Why should dancing be considered as haram?
Unfortunately, we as a society keep thinking that dance is something that possibly belongs in a mujra, or dance is something that possibly belongs in an X-rated Punjabi film, or it's something that has now entered our theatre, and people lock the doors, and in closed theatres you have a certain kind of ugly performance which people have been giving this awful name, and in the process they've demeaned an art. Now this kind of a thing is what really is at the root cause of our parents and our families not really looking at dance in a sympathetic way.
Because those people who are associated with, let's say, dance forms, they do not come from, let's say, elite families or upper classes or even middle classes, that purpose, or from poor classes even. But they are particularly from a class which of people or a community which are not really considered as acceptable to our society. And yet, this is our hypocrisy.
It's murder on the dance floor. You better not kill the groove, DJ. gonna burn this goddamn house right down. Oh, I know.
In a country where dance is forbidden officially and women are not allowed on stage or screen in anything considered revealing, the fashion industry draws heavily on both these elements to form its culture. This has led to the fashion industry, which has prospered and grown considerably in the last 2 decades, to present the fashion shows more so for entertainment than fashion alone. These events have in the past and continue till today to present all forms of fashion designs, at times with very little clothing on the models. The elite in Pakistan, including those who have passed and enforced the laws restricting dance, are an active part of these events. These events are normally sanctified as charity fundraisers for noble causes and are housed either in the private grand farmhouses of the elite or in the urban centers of the 3 large metropolis cities of Pakistan. The hypocrisy of society is clearly and brutally seen in the sad fact that the fashion industry has the license to exhibit all freely, yet dance is perpetually suffocated under layers of restrictions on dress and performance. The laws are not for those who make them, they are for the underprivileged and those in smaller towns. It is this dichotomy and hypocrisy which has created such a vast distance between the thinking and mentality in the 3 major cities with the rest of Pakistan.
Now you can go to television. If you don't know dancing, you can just move around and that will be called dance. You can collect 12 boys and they can do gymnastic and that will be called dance. You can do anything nonsense, but you cannot do anything sensible. This is the culture of today.
Who is going to take responsibility for what's happening in our country? Theatre has died, music is dying, the best artists have gone. People are coming, it's become a house entertainment. It's become, in theatres, they have all these kind of degenerated forms happening. So it's just losing its beauty. We don't want to see beauty. And television promotes it. It gets promoted on the big screen, which endorses the whole of society. It's such a strong media. Can we fight it? We are people of this stage.
The idea of going to see something that is meaningful, that's going to touch your heart, is just gone from us. We don't want to do anything serious. That will only be done at seminars for a small performance for those who came to talk and listen about serious things.
The ban on the official media, which actually stopped any kind of a classical dance, I think has created a perception that classical dance is, there's something unacceptable about it. While filmy dance, which especially in Pakistani films you find a very vulgarized form of dancing, that has never really been stopped.
But in the last few years, because there have been no dancers from the educated classes who were willing to go into films, then the dancers have all been from the girls from the red light area, who are the only people who are in practice of dancing. And consequently, they bring with them their own commercial attitude and their way of dancing.
Pashto films have degenerated over the years into X-rated films. By now they have absolutely no link with Pashtun culture or tradition, The films show vulgar dances performed mostly by large women, blatantly fetishizing the large body form. These dances also have no links with the story and are used only as a sexual device. There is no artistic meaning or element in the filming of these dances, and their sole purpose is to portray sex on screen. The closest these dances have come to art is when famous Pashto folk songs are used as background music for them. These films make the bulk of mainstream Pashto cinema and are widely available on CDs, cable networks and video releases. Pashto film songs are perhaps the crudest and ugliest form of dance in Pakistan. It is an instance where dance has been exploited as an art form in order to make it a twisted sexual device.
नाच होने चाहिए ने लेकिन सही तरीके ना यानी कि ਉਹਦੇ ਚ लफंडरपन नहीं होना चाहिए
नंगा भी डांस होना चाहिए क्योंकि पाकिस्तान है आहो बिल्कुल अच्छा ये हाँ सही है कि मुसलमान ये अच्छा ते गाना बजाना बिल्कुल टाइट होना चाहिए
नाच होना चाहिए पाकिस्तान के जितने भी फिल्में उसमें ना म्यूजिक है ना कोई डांस है ना और कुछ है नाच होना चाहिए डांस करो जो से करो
इस्लामी मुल्क में इस तरह के जो पोस्टर लगे हुए हैं इस तरह की फिल्में नाच होने चाहिए
यार ये सब बात हम नहीं करेगा इस्लामी में ये बात नहीं तो फिल्मा बंदो गरीब दे हक दे पैसे दो अल्लाह ताला बरकत पाएगा कपड़े पहने हैं वो गाना हो रहा है वो ऐसे कर रहे हैं वैसे हो रहा है ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए
Films play a central role in the entertainment industry of Pakistan, and dances play an even greater role in these films. Other than an odd film every 4 to 5 years, all Pakistani films have at least half a dozen dance sequences. However, from the 80s, the songs and dances in films have had a major decline in standards. Actors and dancers with no formal training began to be choreographed by choreographers who themselves have had no formal training in dance. The little that they did know, they had gleaned from watching earlier films. Thus, an incestuous internal dance form was created within the film industry of Pakistan. Its greatest influence came from Bollywood films, with a lot of it at times being blatantly taken from them.
मेरे उस्ताद हैं खुर्शीद भाई जी हैं जिनसे मैंने तकरीबन 2 माह प्रैक्टिस की है डांस की और उसके अलावा घर में मैंने प्रैक्टिस की है
जितनी हमारी डिमांड बनेगी पब्लिक हमें जितना पसंद करेगी हमारी जो उतनी पेमेंट ज़्यादा होगी पर ये गलत है अगर हम अब ये जो डांस बंद हुए हैं तो ये पेमेंटें ज़्यादा नहीं हुई ये कम हो गई हमारी ये ख़त्म हो गया सारा कुछ
फहाशी बहुत ज़्यादा होगी थी और हाँ जी बिल्कुल मैं समझती हूँ और ज़्यादा होगी थी अगर ये लिमिट के अंदर रह के किया जाता तो शायद ये कभी बंद ना होता
जो सिर्फ डांस ही कर सकती हैं तो जो बोल नहीं सकती तो मेरे ख्याल से डांस है वो घर बैठ गई हैं जो परफॉर्मेंस कर सकती हैं वो परफॉर्मेंस से भी कमा रही हैं
आई एम एक्ट्रेस एज एन एक्ट्रेस मुझे डांस करना पड़ता है फिल्मों में और यह है कि मैंने स्पेशली डांस की कभी कोई ट्रेनिंग नहीं ली बट मैं एक टाइम के साथ मैंने इसको सीखा है ड्यूरिंग द शूटिंग मैंने इसको सीखा है और मैं इसको बहुत फील करके काम करती हूँ डांस करती हूँ सो मैंने कभी डांस की स्पेशली कभी ट्रेनिंग नहीं ली और ना ही मैंने सीखा बिकॉज पाकिस्तान में कोई ऐसा सिस्टम नहीं है कि जिससे आपको रिहर्सल्स करवाई जाएं या डांस सिखाया जाए बिकॉज ये हमारे मज़हब में नहीं है बट मैंने ग्रेजुअली टाइम के साथ अपने एक्सपीरियंस के साथ एक्टिंग के साथ मैंने इसको लर्न किया है और अब मेरा ये है कि मेरा अंग बहुत अच्छा हो गया है और मैं पहले से बहुत अच्छा डांस करती हूँ आजकल मैं स्पेशली क्लासिकल डांस सीख रही हूँ और मैं सीख रही हूँ खानू सम्राट से सो मेरे डांस के बारे में मेरे अपने कमेंट्स ये हैं मैं डांस के बिकॉज ये चीज़ आपके अंदर होती है और डांस के साथ आपको तहजीब आती है आपको आपका उठना बैठना आपके हाथ पाँव आपको अदब अदाब आई थिंक आपको डांस सिखाता है आपके अंदर की गुफ्तगू आप अंदर से क्या गुफ्तगू करना चाहते हैं, अंदर से क्या, तो वो आपकी सिर्फ मोमेंट्स, आपकी अदाएं, वो आपके व्यूअर्स तक एक्सप्लेन कर देती हैं कि आप क्या चाह रहे हैं।
मेरा नाम खानू सम्राट है और मेरे वालिद साहब का नाम अकबर सम्राट साहब था मरहूम, और मेरे दादा आशिक हुसैन सम्राट। हमारा 3 पुश्तों से इस काम से ताल्लुक़ है और बुनियाद हमारी क्लासिकल डांस है, और जहाँ से हमें नाम मिला है वो पाकिस्तान फिल्म इंडस्ट्री है, जहाँ कमर्शियल काम होता है, जिसमें क्लासिकल भी आ जाता है और रॉक भी आ जाता है वेस्टर्न स्टाइल का, और इसमें जितने कल्चरल डांस हैं मिक्स करके फिर इसको करना पड़ता है। जैसे अपना एक शायर ने कहा है कि रक्स आज़ा की शायरी है, लेकिन इसको कमर्शलाइज करके हम करते हैं।
ये जो हमारी फिल्म में आया है, इसमें तो इसको आप डांस नहीं कह सकते हैं, ये तो बड़ा ही इसमें बहुत कमर्शियल है, और इसमें ऑब्सिनिटी भी है। फिल्म के डांस को आप डांस नहीं कह सकते, आई थिंक न कहना चाहिए। इसमें तो सिर्फ प्रोजेक्शन है, मतलब है लड़की की कैसे वो सीड्यूस करती है एक आदमी को, और इसमें वो सूफीज़म वाला या वो मोहब्बत का जो एक ख़ास अंदाज़ है वो नहीं है। वो डांस, वो रक्स जिसको बकौल जोश आज़ा की शायरी कहा जाता, वो फिल्म में वो शायरी नहीं है आज़ा की। फिल्म में हम सिर्फ औरत के मुख्तलिफ जो हिस्से हैं, जो पार्ट्स हैं, जिससे एक हैजानी कैफियत पैदा होती, जिसे हम अंगेज करते हैं जज्बात को, जो है प्रोवोक करते हैं मसला, उससे वो सिर्फ हम इतना फ़ायदा लेते हैं। तो फिल्म के डांस को हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि ये डांस है, क्योंकि डांस हमारी बड़ी एक आला सिनफ है।
We should know the art. We should do some work. You know, showing body is no work. It's nothing to do with the art. Whatever you do, you're wearing panties or whatever, you have to have art in you. You should do some art. That's what I wanted to say.
The responsibility of giving dance a bad name and associating the stigma of crude sexual expression to it is largely the fault of the film industry. In its efforts to cater to the masses, they have commercialized dance into something that has little to no artistic value, but sells the tickets for commercial cinema.
I think one of the reasons why our political leadership has not used dance to sort of enrich the life of Pakistan and to sort of build up a much truer image of our cultural tradition abroad has been because of the own ignorance and lack of cultural upbringing of the political elite in this country. It is a sad reflection on our political elite that to most of them, dance has meant the dance of the courtesan in the privacy of their boudoirs and their drawing rooms where money is flashed. Beyond that, they have no knowledge of the rich cultural tradition of this land, and the worst part is that they're not interested in educating themselves or gaining that knowledge.
We in Pakistan feel that the arguments, if at all they are given, are completely out of relevance to people's culture. Sometimes religion is invoked as if Pakistan is the only Muslim country in the world, and other Muslim countries where dance is practiced and exhibited and performed are not Muslim. Sometimes they say that our culture prohibits it, but everybody enjoys dancing, you know. The only thing is that they would like to have it performed in their drawing rooms or in their bungalows and deny the ordinary people the pleasure of watching this performance. Sometimes it is said that some people's sensibilities are likely to be hurt. Whose sensibilities? You see, this kind of all-pervasive censorship is not only ultra-constitution and ultra-legal formalities, it also shows a mind which has not developed.
We have dance as part of the culture. In Punjabi you have the Bhangra, in the frontier you have the Kathak dance, in Balochistan you have their own dance, and in Sindh, we have got the Sindhi dance culture is there. So this has been part of the culture. But we have to keep it, within the norms of our values of life, both from the cultural as well as religious point of view.
I was the director of the PNCA, Pakistan National Council of the Arts, for about 8 months. And it was quite an experience because it exposed the real attitude of our state towards art. And they were so concerned about making money instead of the concern about promotion of art. And that really shattered my belief, the disillusionment of, even though so many things happened, the building was made better, but I said, this is an outer experience. By painting a building is not, you can't paint art. Art is a process. You have to go through a process.
I think the ministry or the PNCA or any establishment that has something to do with culture cannot feel proud of the state of this art. And our efforts, whatever they may be, they just aren't producing the results so far.
We didn't have continuity in our policies. The policies changed with individuals. That is not to be the system of a good governance. And policy should be permanent with the country and our requirements. So our national requirements are fixed, but somehow or the other we have been changing national requirements with the values, with the people changing, the personality. But I'm sure now with the new, as we have started on during this government, during the last 2.5 years, we have put down on paper the policy which we hope should be in the interest of the Pakistani nation.
Well, to be very honest, I do not have a feeling of great happiness about our society and about where we are going, and especially about the performing arts in our society. In fact, I feel quite depressed that in 50 years we have not been able to institutionalize anything, we have not been able to evolve anything, we have not even been able to give respect to the few artists that have existed and that have struggled and fought to exist. At the moment, lots of people are saying, oh, present government is doing this, it's more liberal, the idea, things, it's opening up. I don't think so. I don't see any change really.
You must have noticed lately that we have started, patronizing Sheema Kurbani and Nighat Chaudhary and the others to keep this classical dance alive. And it is, I don't think there is any reason to ban it. We have to have, and I have noticed that a lot of young generation people have started showing interest because we didn't have any academy, we didn't have any, dance troupes anywhere. And this is the culture of the Sirigul. One is your religious belief, the other is your cultural heritage. So dancing is part of our cultural heritage.
If you want to have a dance performance, you can't describe it as such. They say it is called dance recital. Never heard of such a misuse of language. Then, where are you doing it? Who is doing it? Such questions. Even the organizers of international festivals have to run from pillar to post to get an ordinary permission to stage a performance. And it has resulted in blocking out the careers of a large number of people.
During Benazir time, a little of the dance was owned by her regime, that whenever any VIP is coming and the dinner is being served, so you may invite Shima Kirmani or you may invite Nahid Siddiqui. When Mrs. Clinton came, Nahid Siddiqui's dance was arranged at noon. This is no dance time, but the orders are orders. So we arranged the dance, and the dance stayed, instead of 20 minutes, stayed for 3 minutes. Why? Because the Prime Minister of Pakistan didn't want to stay longer. Why? Because the culture was not a part of the regime or the Prime Minister despite of it, that they have passed a cultural policy. And the cultural policy was supposed to enact in every form of culture of Pakistan.
If we keep thinking that an artist is subservient to us, an artist has to be there in order to amuse us, forget it. Elsewhere they're visionaries. Here you treat them like dirt. This is the main problem. People tend to worship power, not a vision. And as long as that kind of situation prevails in countries like ours, I don't really see a major change coming in the way we look at arts.
One of the meanest tricks devised to kill arts and especially put a blanket on dancing is the so-called system of no objection certificate. Why should anybody have an objection? Why should I be subjected to this torture of making an application to a state functionary who has no idea of what I am talking about, who has no understanding of the issues involved, who enjoys watching dance secretly, but doesn't have the courage to admit it in open? The whole system is a violation of the people's rights.
It's not the people who are against these art forms. It's the authorities that have created this perception that these art forms are not to be, admired or encouraged.
But the policy here means that it's an instrument in the hands of a centralized few who are trying to get it down to root levels, not even knowing what the roots are.
Because our politicians are so narrow in their outlook that they don't see anything beyond their personal aggrandizement and their personal projection. And therefore, everything else linked to our culture or our civil society is simply ignored.
I think we want to keep this art alive, and as I told you that we have started encouraging these old dancers, to in the last legs of their life, that they should pass it on to the young generation. So I don't see any chance in the near future of starting an academy, but this is a step.
I'm very worried for dance in this country. If you ask me honestly, deep down in my heart, I'm very concerned about what's happening to dance. I think we cannot live here personally. For myself, I feel that I have to go out now, and I have to keep coming back to keep it alive. If I stay any longer, I'm dying. I'm suffocating.
So I decided that we should have a dance festival at Karachi to change the taste of the people and to provide them relief. I didn't know that the people will come in that big, huge number, that Karachiites are known to be late, but everybody was half an hour earlier, and the hall was packed to the double capacity to what it could have the people. And people were so happy that they were just kissing my hand and saying that after a long time, instead of bullets, we have heard the voice of something sweet. But what happened to me? I came back to Islamabad, and after 3 days, I got at 3 o'clock sharp, when the office closes, the orders that you are no more there. I could guess. The minister had already said, she is giving a bad name to our government. Is it dance a bad name? Is the culture a bad name? You may understand.
Why is it that we are scared of beautiful things? Because it makes us think, makes us feel, it makes us want to know, want to search for the truth.